Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the men's mid-height Targhee 3 waterproof boot from Keen. This is a popular boot for anyone who wants a leather, kind of a rigid, long-lasting waterproof boot that's going to hold up and hold its own in most conditions. If you're new to the channel, my name's Ben, and I'm part of the team here at the Adventure Junkies, where we help people like you choose the right gear to get outdoors. If you want to learn more, visit our website at www.theadventurejunkies.com. Now let's jump right into what you're really here for. Let's talk about the Keen Targhee 3 mid-height waterproof boot. All right, so now that we've established that this boot is a mid-height boot, meaning that, it's not a low top, it's not a high top, it's mid, and it's waterproof. I'm just going to refer to it as the Targhee 3 from here on out because the name's a mouthful. It will save us both some time. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the Targhee 3. I've got them out of the box. They're obviously used. I've got plenty of miles on these. So the mid-height version that we tested retails for $175. Unfortunately, that's actually a little below average for a boot of this quality. So good price point. You can pick these up in sizes 7 through 15. As a tall person, I thank you. 7 through 15 is wonderful, and they are available in a wide. Although, if you do get the wide version, your color choices are going to be fewer than if you were to get just the standard width. So, in terms of weight, the Targhee 3 waterproofs, they're a little heavy. There's a lot of leather on this boot. There's a lot to them. Now, each size obviously weighs a different weight. But for reference, I tested the size 13s. That's the size I normally wear. And on my scale, they weighed 2 pounds, 10 ounces. Now that's 1.19 kilograms. So definitely on the heavy side, especially for a mid-height hiking boot. Now let's look at the lacing system. So pretty standard boot lacing on this boot. I do like that the eyelets here, this is all leather, so these will last a long time. And then you have one piece of webbing here to lace through, and that webbing actually goes all the way around the boot to the other eyelet, or the other side. So that really helps when you cinch it down. It really brings this in to your foot and helps with stability. And then of course the top lace hook here is metal, so good quality, and it's really nice because you're gonna, if you're into custom lacing techniques or you like to lace your boot just a little different, this gives you some options here. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the waterproofness of this boot. A lot of boot manufacturers use third-party companies to source their waterproof membranes, and Keen has actually developed their own. It's called their Keen Dry Liner. It is supposed to be waterproof, which it is, and it's supposed to be breathable, which, debatable. I find that all waterproof boots are hot. None of them are all that breathable. Sorry, Gore-Tex, Event, Keen Dry. I'm not buying it. I just don't think any of them are all that breathable, and neither is this one. Maybe the membrane's breathable, but the entire boot is not. I had these out in spring thunderstorms, light showers, even a late spring snow shower. Waterproofness held up. It's great. The entire boot so you have the Keen Dry Liner on the inside, then you have the leather, and the leather is naturally water resistant, not waterproof, but then they treat the entire boot with a DWR, or durable water repellent, which is just a chemical treatment that helps further keep the boot waterproof. I believe Keen's is a PFC free water repellent, or DWR, excuse me, so that's wonderful. Now, a lot of people in this boot have complained about losing waterproofness right there, right at that bend point. I didn't have that issue. A lot of online reviewers claim that when they walk through dewy grass, the waterproofness failed then. I find that is common with all waterproof boots. I don't know why the dewy grass just really gets in there, but it does. No big deal. So you can also grab a non-waterproof version of this boot if, for whatever reason, that's what you're looking for. Now, it is called a different name. It's not called the Targhee 3. It's called the Targhee Vent. All right, so now let's take a look at the construction and some of the features of the Targhee 3. I think there's a trend in the industry to go lighter weight, using more synthetics and more welding. This is not that boot, and it's not trying to be. This is a sturdy boot made from nubuck leather on the upper in traditional stitching. So this is for me, was a stiff boot right out of the box. When you read the online reviews and really dig into it, many people say comfort right out of the box. I'm not gonna lie, that was not my experience with the Targhee 3. I had to put about 20 miles on these boots before they kind of started to mold and fit my foot. I had a lot of pain, especially near the ball of the foot, the front of the arch here. And it took, like I said, 20 miles for that to really start to go away. So during that break-in period, I didn't have any blisters or any hot spots, but I did have, as I said, that cramping near the front of the foot. So looking a little closer, Keen has used traditional stitching throughout the upper of this boot. And that's just really going to help with durability versus welds. Primarily this upper is constructed of premium nubuck leather. There's a few synthetic areas like back here, and obviously the synthetic for the tongue and around the ankle here. But primarily it's all leather, which I really like. I've always found leather boots to take a while to break in, and I found that the upper took a while to break in when I was first wearing it. I was getting some cramping on the top of my foot where the eyelets were. I was able to correct a lot of that with lacing, so no huge deal there. So continuing to look at the upper, let's move on to the tongue. We have a fully gusseted tongue that's going to help keep debris out and water out. And the Keen Dry Booty, you can kind of see it here, is included in the tongue as well. It's mostly synthetic, and then you do have one piece of leather right here at the top. It's probably a design choice, as well as that's where you knot your boot and it protects your foot. So if you like to really tighten in that ankle, you're not going to feel the knot thanks to that piece of leather, which is great. So are they stiff? The short answer is they are. Mine, I probably have 50 miles on these boots. I'm still breaking them in, but I like to kind of do that, and then the real test is a twist. And I have to use quite a bit of strength to get these to twist. The leather is still breaking in, there's no question there. So they are stiff, but are they stable? Yes. The boot is pretty stable. Definitely stable enough for day hikes, on loose, mixed terrain. I'm talking about loose dirt, roots, gravel. I don't think they're stable enough for like technical terrain. If you're on like steep slabby rock, I'm not sure they're grippy enough for that kind of stuff. But definitely for your average day hike, these are going to be perfectly stable for that. I'd also say they're stable enough for light backpacking. I carried some weight. I had a 20-pound pack on, and I felt perfectly stable in these. I felt supported with the weight. If I was gonna do, say, a 2-week trip with a 40-pound pack, this might not be my boot. But for moderate amount of weight, lightweight packs, day hikes, that kind of thing, definitely stable enough for that kind of stuff. So continuing with stability, the wide sole is gonna help with stability. The thing is, once this nubuck leather really breaks in, and it's not quite yet, it's a little soft compared to, like, say, if you were to make this upper with full grain leather. So what that's going to do is if you plant, you're going to lose that lateral support side to side, especially if you add weight to your pack. And that's just the nature of nubuck leather. There's really not a lot you can do about that. So I will say, if you want to gain a little stability, that's where we go back to the lacing system, is you can really customize your lacing system. Like I had to change my lacing to really lock my heel in place. I was getting some heel slip in this. But, change the lacing a little bit and boom, the heel locked in, no problem. And that'll help many people with stability issues there. All right, so let's talk about support. I think this boot has sort of middle of the road support. I talked about this a little bit already, but I just think there's enough support for like light backpacking, but if you're going to carry a lot of weight and put on a lot of miles, this is probably not the boot that I would recommend. One thing that helps with support and stability is going to be, Keen does have a stability shank in this boot, and a shank is basically piece of plastic or metal or whatever material that runs. It's maybe an inch or two wide and runs down, the center of the boot where the arch is, and it's between the sole or the outsole and the midsole. And a lot of times that's where you get your arch support in boots. It also can basically help protect against rocks in certain situations as well. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about cushioning. I think this boot has adequate cushioning, sort of middle of the road. I find myself saying that phrase often about this boot. But that's good because you need that in the boot category. You need something that's middle of the road. There's plenty of cushion around the ankle. I didn't have any discomfort around the ankle even when I really cinched the boots down. The insole, let's go ahead and take the insole out. So the insole, it's actually quite thin. Up here it looks thick, but it's not. They really have this deep heel cup in here, and that's supposed to really help keep your foot locked in place. So you're definitely getting some cushion from the insole, but nothing too crazy. And if you'd like, you can actually take the insole out and put in your own custom orthotics or your own insoles, if you'd like. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the toe box. For me, the toe box is maybe the most important part of the shoe / boot in terms of fit. And that's probably just because of the shape of my foot, but it's very important to me. A narrow toe box is really gonna just help keep your foot locked in, especially if you're going downhill and you don't want your foot sliding around, smashing into the front of the boot. A narrow toe box can help with that. Now, a wide toe box allows your toes to expand, and allowing your toes to expand really helps with stability. So it's sort of a personal preference. I found the Targhee 3 to have sort of a wider toe box, actually a little wider than I expected, and that's because this is a wider boot, which I like because I have wide feet. But yeah, I'd say toe box on the wide side. I could use stand with a little more room on the outside where your small toe is, but again, probably just my foot shape, not necessarily the boot. So do they breathe? I covered this already, but they do not. Maybe a little bit, but I wouldn't call them breathable. Don't wear them in hot weather unless you want hot feet. It's just what it is. And you're going to have that with any waterproof boot for sure. All right, so moving on, still talking about construction, I want to move on to the outsole. The outsole on the Targhee 3, Keen uses 4mm multi-directional lugs. They also use a proprietary rubber blend. So they're not using like a Vibram sole like a lot of other manufacturers. They're actually using their own sole and their own rubber. And it gripped well on pretty much every surface that I wore these on. I would rate the grip as probably medium. Not outstanding. I've definitely tested, even this season, I've tested shoes that are more grippy on more surfaces, but I do think these will work for the average hiker on most terrains. Moving up, we have an EVA midsole. It's basically a rubber-like chemical compound that just helps with lightweight cushion, and you're going to get an EVA midsole on almost every modern hiking boot. If you're enjoying this video, please make sure to hit the like button and share it so more people like you can find it. So let's talk about sizing. Keen says these are true to size. Most reviewers online agree with them and say that they're true to size. I wear a size 13 boot. These are a size 13. I think maybe they run just a hair large, which I appreciate because I'm between sizes, but for a lot of people that might affect which size you get. I don't know. A 12.5 would be too small for me. These are also wide boots by nature outside of the wide size, which is a separate size. These are already wide. So depending on your foot shape, what you like, preference, that might affect your purchase as well. So are they comfortable? Yes, they're comfortable. Are they comfortable right out of the box? They are not comfortable right out of the box. This nubuck leather is going to expand a little bit. It's going to mold to your foot. And the feel of this boot is definitely going to change over time, especially in the first 15 to 20 miles. That's when I noticed the biggest change. No big deal. I expected that with a leather boot, but I think the whole comfort right out of the box thing is a little misleading for people. Another thing I think that make this comfortable, I like the wide toe box. I really appreciate that. The soft padding around the ankles is also nice. So we can't talk about comfort without talking about the uncomfortable parts. I did find where the lace eyelets are working up the upper part of the shoe here, especially in the first 10 miles. With lacing, I did feel pinching there, and it was really uncomfortable. But I changed the lacing a little bit, and that addressed the most uncomfortable part of these boots. All right, guys, we're getting close to wrapping things up here, so I just want to go ahead and recap some stats and facts for you. So again, this is the Keen Targhee 3 mid-height waterproof boot, men's size 13. You can pick it up for $175. You can find sizes in size 7 through 15, and they are all available in wide sizes as well. So who is this boot for? What is this boot best for? There's no way around it, no beating around the bush. This is a hiking boot. I really wouldn't use it for anything besides hiking. Honestly, there's a lot of reviewers online that buy these to work in. Sure. Maybe if you need a waterproof boot for work, that could work. Maybe if you're doing a lot of walking on mixed terrain, that could also work. But yeah, I think it's just a good hiking boot. Predominantly light backpacking and when I say light backpacking, I mean maybe 1 or 2 days. I wouldn't put a ton of miles with a lot of weight on these. I would maybe look elsewhere for that. This is going to be great for anyone who just needs a well-rounded waterproof boot for day hikes and short backpacking trips. Lastly, what do I like about it? I like that for me, this boot did most things like pretty okay. That's why I keep saying well-rounded. Jack of all trades, master of none. You get it. I do a lot of day hiking around Colorado, and I did a lot of day hiking around Colorado in this boot, and I found that it's held up just fine in terms of quality. I mean, it basically, aside from being dirty, looks brand new. The grip of the sole is like pretty good. The waterproofness held up. I like the look and the feel of the nubuck leather. It's nice and soft, and it's reasonably comfortable. So yeah, those are all the things I like about it. Really, when it comes down to things I don't like about this boot, I just find it hot. And no matter what waterproof boot I test, I'm going to say, I just find it hot. So take that with a grain of salt. But it, yeah, doesn't breathe all that well. And I do find the fit to be a little wonky for my foot shape. I was able to address that with different lacing techniques. But it's just something to keep in mind. I would also maybe like a little more support for longer backpacking trips, maybe with a heavier pack or maybe on more technical terrain. But other than that, a really well-rounded boot, and I like it, and maybe you will too. That kind of wraps things up for our review today with the men's mid-height Targhee 3 waterproof boot. If you want to learn more, please visit our website at www.theadventurejunkies.com, and we'll see you out there. Happy hiking!